I was administrator for a lab, and I retired. Now I was bored, so now I do assessments and I help labs out just to keep getting bored. As you said, I was lab director of NOAA and EPA. I was a CLP program manager. I was on the SW46 third edition work group. And then in private industry, as you said, I was in Ensico, UL, Airtech, and Columbia. So I've been kind of around the block. So kind of like why this talk? So in 2007, I had a heart attack. And as the operator mentioned, I died 5 times during that procedure. I was in surgery for 14 hours. Again, 14 hours, they told my wife to pull the plug. Fortunately, she didn't listen to them. So my kids would promise me these things. Thinking that, first of all, I wasn't going to make it because the doctor said I didn't have a chance. Second of all, I was in a coma. I mean, he doesn't hear anything. Oh, contrary. 6 days out of my coma, I woke up and I go, so when am I going to Rome to see the Pope? And I go, oh shit, he heard that. So, true to their word, they took me to Hawaii, and I went surfing, and they took me to Rome, where I got to see the Pope, and got a medal and all other stuff. So that was my first incident. Out of that, I got an artificial valve, titanium, by the way. They say it's good for, it's got a lifetime warranty. And I said, well, what does that mean? They go, well, it's not working, you die. Lifetime warranty, that's cool. So I had a little titanium valve going, and I had a quadruple bypass. In July of 2015, I had a tooth pulled. And sorry if my voice is a little bit, I think I kind of pulled on the airplane. I was sitting next to this person going, oh dear God, this is what I don't need. Anyway, so I'm stuck in a hot tub. So I came home from an audit, I lay down, I woke up 2 hours later and I had a 107-degree fever. And an hour later I was convulsing. They rushed me to the hospital. Staff had gotten into when they pulled my tooth. It actually got into my heart, infected my whole heart. I had endocarditis, I guess that's what it's called. Anyway, infected my whole heart. Something I didn't know was that staff also enjoy living and growing on artificial valves. So the staff was actually growing and coating my valves when they were slowing down. So for 3 days, they told my family I wasn't going to make it. So I had another promise. So my daughter promised me Australia. She said, if you make it through here, I'll take you to Australia. So I haven't done yet. It's next year. She set up a tour for next year for Australia. Anyway, so after 3 days, they finally figured out what it was. They got 3 very super strong antibiotics. They were so strong they couldn't put them in the same IV, so I had 3 separate IVs going into my arms, directly into my heart. For 6 weeks, they pumped this crap through me. But it worked. It killed that. It killed it. So I recuperated from that. Then in February, this is so you guys can finish eating. This is just the preliminary stuff. And in February, they said, well, they told my family, well, the antibiotics killed all the stuff in his heart, but it also killed him. So he's going to get wait period, and sometime in July he's going to pass away. Turns out, I don't know, for some reason it didn't work. I was really bad for the first half of the year. Then I started getting stronger and stronger, and now I'm back to normal. So anyway, then in September 2016, I had a stroke. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't remember anything. I can't remember anything anyway, but I can remember even less. I had a stroke. And so they told my family, he has bleeding in the brain and he's going to pass away probably in a month or so. So my family said, okay, well. But you know this guy, he's like a cat, he's got like 9 lives. And sure enough, it didn't put me down. So I'm back. Back to normal. I don't know if it counts as real information or not. Maybe you're not going to die for your information. Anyway, so Jerry Park called me. Is Jerry here? Oh, no, he's not good. I can say things about him. So Jerry Park called me up and he goes, you know, there's a lot of historical information you have. Before you finally croak, would you mind telling us, you know, coming and giving a talk and talk about where all this crap came from? I said, sure, why not? He says, I'll even pay for you to come. I said, well, who can turn that down? So here I am. I'm here to tell you, this is pass on the historical information, so when I do croak, God knows when, I'm not the only one who knows this kind of stuff. Okay, enough about me. So now the interesting stuff. So this is in 1980. They had some hazardous waste sites. They had lawsuits. And there were really no way, back then, there were no methods. There was SW36 first edition, which was very small. And there was a lawsuit, and what happened is that back then, there were no SOPs, there were none of this stuff. So when they went to court, back then they would call the analyst up and they would say, you know, what did you do sample? Well, I'm Dr. So-and-so, why analyze? Okay, that's what worked in those days, but it didn't work this time, because they went to call the guy up and he died. So they had nobody to put on the stand. So they lost the lawsuit. So then they got real upset. So they came out, so I sat down with the legal guys, and I said, okay, well, first thing I'll do is I'll implement what we call SOPs, so that when should someone die, usually they seem to go to court like 5 years later, and you know nobody remembers what they did 5 years ago, even people with good brains. So we implemented SOPs, and we wanted them dated, and then we wanted them archived, so that when it came to the lawsuits, we didn't need to call the analyst up at all. We could just hold the SOP and be done with that. So then they said, okay, now you don't want to lose any more court cases. I said, well, how good does the data have to be? And they go, well, we don't know, we're lawyers. I tried. Oh, okay. He said, it's up to you. He said, but it's got to be legally defensible. So this is the first time that the term legally defensible data came up, and whatever I said was the proper QC is what they said was legally defensible. So they were happy. So back then, there was, I brought some props. Okay. So, has anybody seen, everybody know SW46? A lot of people? Yeah. Nobody? Okay. Back in 1980, there was the SW36 first edition. This is the first edition. Has anybody seen the third edition? It's like, that's good. Okay, so there's no organics in there at all. There was metals, there was some sampling crap, but there was nothing to use. So we were pretty much going from scratch. So that's why we started writing the CLP. Then in 1982, this is the second edition, so it's a little thicker. Still not still not the normal one. Anyway, but this one had methods for organics in it. They were pat columns, so it was the GC with pat columns. But we really couldn't use that. The pat columns just didn't cut it, and we were putting the slots through that was coming to the Superfund. We needed capillary columns, so I rewrote the methods for the capillary columns. I wonder if I could sell this on eBay. We get arrested or something. It's government property or something. Anyways, so we were looking at 100,000 samples a year. No methods, no QC. We're in serious doo-doo. So we sat down and started making stuff up. Well, we made it up, but I mean, I've been in the lab a long time, and we had a lot of background, so we made it up kind of knowingly. But the most important thing was that we knew there were so many different kinds of samples coming in. No matter what method you picked, it wasn't always going to work. And there were some matrices that just was going to screw things up. So we decided to put in enough QC so that we knew how good the data was. So we put in matrix spikes to know if there was, the matrix was screwing things up. We put in blanks, matrix contamination. Anyways, So we coined this phrase, which now everybody here knows about. It became called data of known and documented quality. And that was not that we're using the best methods, but that we had enough QC to go to court and tell them how good those methods were. So first thing we did was came up with a target analyte list. Well, this is really kind of wild. We just made it up. I mean, we just picked organic compounds, we picked metals that we thought were cool, you know, mercury, even we had cyanide. We had no idea. So we made what we called target analyte list. Then we developed the QC. So we were trying to look to make sure there was no contamination. We wanted to look at the prep. We wanted to make sure the instrument was working right. And then we wanted to see if there were sample effects, if there was something in the individual sample that was affecting the instruments. What we found, of course, is that methods don't always work. We knew that, but it worked like 80, 90% of the time. When they didn't work, we knew from the QC it didn't work, and we would send out these samples for what we call SAS, Special and Local Services, to our labs, special labs. At one time, in the CLP, we had 105 labs. We wrote the methods and we said, you have to follow the methods. You may know a better way of doing this, but right now, I have 15 labs on one site and I have to be able to compare results. So this is the method you're going to follow. So we need to compare results so that guys can do their modeling and draw the contour lines and all other stuff. So I apologize for the prescriptive method thing, but we just needed it back then. So the QC name. So we were trying to figure out what we needed. So I figured, well, we need something at the beginning to tell us that calibration is okay. So that was the ICV. Then we needed something to tell us that calibration is still working. And so we had a continuing calibration verification. And we were working on what's now called the LCS, but I was in Washington, and I shared an office with Dwayne Luder, who was the QA officer for all Superfront. Dwayne was a skinny little guy. I used to throw candy bars over my desk and rock or something. Anyways, we were figuring out, so I need something that shows that everything's working on like a water sample from here to there. We're batting these names around, and Lee Thomas, who then is the administrator for EPA, that was back when the probably piss people off. And this is back when the administrators were scientists, not lawyers. Hey, I'm retired. What are they going to do there? So Lee Thomas used to come down from the 12th floor and he'd sit down and talk with us because really only chemists he knew. And he said he listened to us and we're talking about that. Well, eventually became an LCS. He goes, well, you realize that you don't only have the 3 letters because it has to line up with EPA. I said, oh, okay. So that's why everything is ICV, CCV, ICS. It's all 3 letters lined up with EPA. And then we come up with the level 4 data package, which everybody hates. Okay, those big, huge, humongous things. And the reason for it was that, one of the reasons for it was that when we go to court, anybody can look at the data, they look at the parameters, they can look at the QC, and they can tell how good the data was. The real reason we had level 4 data packages was because they were this thick. And the lawyer said, the bigger the pile, the better we're at. He said, when we bring in this huge amount of data, they stipulate to the data. I said, okay. So level 4 packages had a dual purpose. Not only was it good for reviewing, but it also beat out any of the defense data. Defense data was like this big, or level 4 is that big. So there came level 4 data packages. QC intervals. Okay, so like the CCBs, there'd be 10 samples. So we had a bunch of data, and we had a statistician who can do anything. Actually, they can come up with any answers you want. Tell them what you want. But anyway, so we had a statistician. He looked at the whole data and he said, well, you really should do these calibration checks on certain frequencies. So I said, okay, look at the population cover. So back in those days, the ICPs were drift, the GCs were drift, everything was drifting. So they came up with the number of 13. He said, well, every 13 samples, you should run a check. I said, 13, that's unlucky. And who's going to have number 13? So I said, let's just take 10. They go, okay, make it 10. So that's where the 10 samples came in. CC gave you 10 samples. Worked out good. MSMSD. So I have a lot of people today who say, MSMSDs are such a waste. They're one sample from 20 samples. Why do we do this? So this is why we do it. Back then, in the Superfund program, they would go out and they would do grids. And each grid would have about 20 samples. So as they brought 20 samples in, we would say, okay, let's do a matrix spike on that grid. So that's where the 20 samples came in. We do an MSMSD on each grid, which happened to be 20 samples. Doesn't make any sense now because you guys do all kinds of client things together, and it's only good for that single sample you do. The best way to do it would be MSMSDs on every sample. There was a proposal to do that, by the way. There was NEIC, National Environmental and Enforcement Center in Region 8, who said, no, you're going to court with this stuff. You have to do an MS on every sample. I go, we'll never get anything done. I said, are you kidding me? So that's where the 20 samples come from. It's stuck. It's never been changed. Sorry about that, but it made sense at the time. I don't know how many of you remember the SDGs. We had sample delivery groups. What happened was we would have samplers out there, and they would take samples from the grids, and they would trickle in, a day or two at a time. So we said, okay, this is crazy. We'll analyze one sample, then tomorrow we set up all the QC into another sample. So he says, let's combine them all and call a sample delivery group, and then we would have the QC based on that sample delivery group of 20. So that's where sample delivery group came in. And then there was the beginning and the end checks. So we had a check at the beginning, and it was like, do we need to check at the end because we're doing other things? I said, no, we need something at the end so that we can demonstrate that at the end, after putting all this lock with the instruments, it was still working. So that's where the beginning and end came for the CCDs. Okay, something that this is called the holding time. So back then, there were no holding times. No one had a clue. So he said, well, we want the VOA data early. So let's make it 14 days. And, let's do mercury in like 4 weeks. Let's do cyanide in 2 weeks. So we broke them up into weeks. So we had 2 weeks for VOAs, 4 weeks for mercury, 2 weeks for cyanide, no data whatsoever. Yeah, but that's something. For the organics, we actually gave them 40 days. We figured you want to turn around in 30 days, but because they're doing reruns and stuff, give them an extra 10 days. So we made it 40 days for the organics. A little crazy, right? Okay, so we made this stuff up, and then I felt kind of bad about it because I thought, well, we actually should look at this. So I commissioned Oak Ridge to do a study. And so Oak Ridge did a study, and guess what? The stuff does not disappear at weekly intervals. Strangely enough. I couldn't believe it. It was such a shock to me. So I got these results from Oak Ridge. I go, cool, we can change the holding times to something more realistic. But then I went to the lawyers and they go, no, you can't do that. And I go, why? And they go, well, we've been in court. But these holding times for all these cases, if you call into question the holding times, then we're going to have to redo all those cases. So they want me to change it. So you guys are stuck with 7 days, 14 days, 28 days, 14 days. So I apologize. I did try to fix it, but there you go. That's where it came from. There's no data whatsoever except gut feel. So some other QC that we put in, the famous second source check. So we had a site, and I noticed there was a shift in data. We had like maybe 10 labs doing all the work on the site. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I had called the standards company up, and I called the standard, and I sent the standards out for analysis. But we found, and I'm sure they're better now. Back then, there was like 15 to 20% difference in the standards. Depending on where you got it from, not the same names, but depending on where you got it from, you got it. And the other thing was that people were doing, they have these standards that for working, and they keep working and working and working, and they were getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and they never figured it out because they were all using the same thing. So we said, well, let's have them do a second source so that if the manufacturer screws up the batch switch, that can, it has to happen all the time. It doesn't happen now, right? Maybe it's perfect. Anyway, back then, they'd screw up every once in a while, but this would ensure that, in fact, the calibration curves were being done with good solutions. Tunes, okay, so, we were going into sites and we had no idea what was going to be there. So we made up this list. A lot of times, the stuff that was important wasn't on our list. A lot of times we went to court based on the TICs. The TICs is tentatively identified compounds. But to have this work, you have to make sure your masses are working. So we implemented the tunes, the BFPs, the BFPPs, so that when we found a TIC, it would be a good search, library search, and we could go to court on it. So that's the reason we implemented the tunes, but for the TICs. There's nothing to do with the generating running the instrument because we're calibrating with every compound. So it really didn't make any sense, but we were really interested in the TICs. So the tunes are just like sacred. God, no. In fact, now I see people doing tunes on like LC and SMS. Well, it doesn't make any sense at all to do tunes on MSMSs, but they're doing the tunes. They're doing the tunes. So again, I apologize for the tunes, but it's so automatic now, and you're sure the instrument's working well. Back in the old days, it was a lot harder to get the tunes to work. Post and pre-digest spike. So when we first started, we would do a post-digest spike. This was so we could spike it in and see how it affected the analysis. But then we were figuring out that, well, there's puppy stuff going on during the prep. So then we switched it over to the to the pre-digest spike. So that we could see what was happening during the prep. So now we all do the pre-digest spike, because back in the old days we used to do post-digest spikes. ICS, interference check solution. For those of you who are going into metals, this is for ICP. We implemented ICP early, before anybody else did. And I had noticed that from this one lab, the results would look a little squirrely. So I called them up and I said, so, I know there's a lot of nasty stuff in here. When was the last time you checked your inter-element correction factors? In ICP, there are overlaps on the line, so you correct for those by measuring how much of each one we have and correcting for that. And so the lab goes, oh, those are done at the factory. I go, oh, crap. And he said, okay. So I said, no, they're not done at the factory. You have to actually develop these inter-element correction factors and then check them. So there was born the inference check solution where we would put stuff in and we'd make sure that everybody was doing inter-element corrections. One of the things I have to apologize for is when we went to ICP-MS. When I went to ICP-MS, I was writing the ICP-MS stuff, 6020. And the regents were a little nervous about ICP-MS. They didn't know what to do, and that kind of made me nervous. MS and ICP, oh my God. Anyway, so I slipped the ICS inference check solution over to the ICP-MS. Big mistake, because that ICS has so much crap in it that your total results was really high. So now I'm telling people, dilute it down. So I apologize for that. I should have thought up a better ICS for ICP-MS, but that's how it goes. I'm surprised they haven't changed it yet, but what can I say? Okay, one of the other things, is QC names. Why are they different from drinking water? That's because no one knows this, but there was always a pissing contest inside EPA, the different groups. Anybody hear about that? Okay, so we come up with ICV, CCV, blah, blah, blah. And Cincinnati, the drinking water guys, go, okay, we're drinking water. Ours is going to be different. Ours is going to be different. I said, but you guys are going to screw everything up. They go, nope, we're drinking water. I said, okay. So you guys are stuck with LFBs and LBMs and whatever the hell it is. Drinking water, let's keep up with it. So we had the third edition. I kind of skipped that, I kind of went to that. Interesting enough, when we were doing the third edition, we sat around the table and we were talking, and we had a stenographer typing. and astronomers knew nothing about chemistry. So the first draft had Persian trap. I personally wanted to leave it in because I wanted to see where they were paying attention. Second thing they had was acid indigestion. And then one of the worst ones was when we said like 1 out of 20 for QC, they thought they meant 20%. So there were some serious problems with the first draft of the revision. Okay, IDL, MDL. I don't know if you, okay. When we got implemented ICT, we had no signal to noise ratios, and back then they would look at detection of this by running blanks. But we ran blanks, so stable we got the detection limits of 0, so we figured, well, that's not going to work. So we decided to spike. And what we were looking at was the best the instrument could do. We knew there were sample prep effects, but the first time we started out, we did what was called an IDL. So what we said is, spike it and interpret the instrument, and we'll do, I looked at the student T, and then, 7 was about 3.1, I said, it's close enough to 3. So let's do it 7 times, multiplied by 3. Everybody got upset about that, because I looked up the student T table, and it's 3.1. I really should have made it 8, because 8 is 2.99 or something, but anyway. So we picked 7. And then we found out that if you do 7 really zoom, you got a really tight detection limits, which we knew were not real. They're not real anyways, but they're less real. And so we said you had to do it on non-consecutive days. But then we found out that different digestions for ICP, whether it was hydrochloric or nitric, would affect the results. So then we figured, okay, let's do 7 replicates, including the prep, and let's call it an MDL. So we did. So this is back in 1980. So we invented the MDL. Bill Tyer, by Mr. Slot, here Bill passed away. Hey, Bill Tyer came down and he goes, I really like that. I go, no, you don't understand, Bill. This is kind of a half-ass guessing thing. He goes, no, I really like that. Next thing I know, it's a 40 CFR. And so I apologize. But I have been on the committees to change it ever since then, and I helped write the new one, so don't shoot me now. Okay, data qualifier. So back then, we didn't really have data review people, so we had to like warn people when stuff was happening. So we didn't know how good the instruments were, so we set what we call a CRDL, which was a conduct required detection limit, and we set it at something nominal. So for organics, we'd say 10. For metals, 10, 50, whatever it was. But we wanted to know how good it was. So we said, okay, well, we want you to report down to your MDLs. But then we wanted to warn people that we didn't really know how good that data was. So we decided that we would qualify the data. So that when the regents got the data, they'd look at it and they would not maybe use this in their modeling calculations. So I had to pick something. So my son was born, and I was pretty happy with it. Yeah, the first month was when everybody's happy, and then after that you become like a zombie because kids stay awake all goddamn night, all night, and going crazy. Anyways, this was in the euphoric period. I said, well, we had no imagination, so we called him Gary Keith Ward Jr. So I said, well, let's use the J. I'll say the J, so it's for Junior. So the J flag became the flag for between the reporting limit and the detection. By the way, the J flag kid grew up, got his degree in chemistry and computers, and now this is crazy, now he's the IT manager for Nova. You know the PT guys? Yeah, but he doesn't call himself Gary Keith Ward Jr., he calls himself Keith Ward. So if you get something from Keith Ward from Nova, that's the J flag kid. So you give him a hard time. I hear the J flag kid. He's going to hate me for this. But I had other flags. I had an E flag for my wife, Eileen. I had a W flag for Ward. No numbers of W flag because that was for graphite furnace, and when you did a spike, it didn't work out. You flagged with the W. I didn't put a G flag in it for the sense because the G, when we hand order, looked like a 6. So there's no G flag. So that's where the data qualifiers come from. The CLP forms, everybody, I don't really know that. It's whatever fit onto my screen. Back then I had a green, old CRT, whatever the hell it was. And so whatever each form fit on my screen, and then we grouped the QC together. When they came back, what's the sun? When they came back, we split up into groups, and one group would take the LCSs, one group would take the method lines. So that's how we organized the forms. Electronic reporting. So the first which we all think. We were getting all this data in, and we were having a hell of a time loading it into the computers. So I said, well, let's do it electronically. So EPA said, oh, well, we need a task force. I go, seriously? They go, yeah, we need like a 1 to 3 year planning process. I go, okay, you guys go and plan the crap out of it. I got to get this stuff done. So I said, why don't we just look at the form, this first blank space, first one, comma. Second one, third one, comma. I said, so we built what became known as Format A, and people were submitting data on disks. And then EPA came up with, they did their magic stuff to come up with Format B, which was, I think, faster or better, but I don't know why. So that's how we built the Format A. So then EDDs were born, and I guess it's a good idea. CCS, Contract Compliance Screening, I don't know if anybody's heard of this, everybody hates it. This was when Office of Management and Budget said, hey, look, you paid for this, and their CCD was out. And I go, yeah, so? They go, well, you can't pay for that. I said, oh, crap. So I implemented screening on the electronic data so we could find out whether or not the QC was passed or not. So before and after manual integration, so where does this come from? In 1999, there was an Intertech court case. 13 people were indicted. There were issues at Region 5. The contractors were like, they were changing. I mean, let's face it, they would make their QC fit by changing their integration needs and stuff. So EPA, because of this, Intertech was the QA lab for the Air Force, and one of the 10 samples of the Air Force went to this lab, so this was a big deal. And everybody was very upset. So EPA was saying, well, we can't trust all these capitalists. They're just in it to make money. Well, at that time, I was a capitalist, so they said, no. They said, what we're going to do is we're going to take our money that we're going to put on analysis, we're going to pump it into EPA laboratories. And I said, well, first of all, it's a really bad idea because they don't know how to run samples and all that. We had a meeting in DC with Nikki Tinsley. Nikki Tinsley was the Inspector General for EPA. And Charlie Carter and I, Charlie Carter passed away also on this time. I'll next probably. Anyway, Charlie Carter and I sat down with Nikki Tinsley and we said, look, these are things we're going to implement so that you don't have to worry about the data anymore. So we said, we're going to do before and after manual integrations so that you know what it was before, what it was after, they date it, and they said who did it, and that way we know who to put in jail when they screw up. And he said, and the second thing we do is ethics training, that data integrity training, such that at least once a year we would tell everybody, don't do this. And she said, well, if you will implement this in your labs, then we will not go after management in the labs will find something. Well, this is important because I was managing at the time. I don't want to go to jail, maybe Charlie, so this is cool. So, so then we implemented before and after manual integrations and the ethics training. We got a lot of heat for that because everybody says, well, we're not going to be able to do it data, right? God, we're going to be doing all this stuff. I go, well, it's either this or you don't do data. I go, okay, so we'll do it. Nowadays, you guys probably do automatically, right? Before and after integrations, I hope so. Because we promised you guys would do it. Anyway, almost done. This is last one. So, data review. Region 2, very meticulous, very careful. They would get data in, and if anything was wrong, like anything was wrong, they'd throw the data out. And I said, okay, this does not make sense. They said, well, look at these CCBs, they were out. I said, yeah, but they were out high, and there's nothing in the sample. And they go, there was low. I go, okay. So, from labs all over the country, and we sat down, and we developed these guidelines, and called them the National Guidelines for Data Review. And we did organics first. And we sat down and kind of make stuff up. But we try to use, why it is you can still use data when it wasn't perfect. And then we started on the inorganics. Now, the inorganics was kind of interesting because I had all these people flown in and meeting with them. And on the third day, it took about a week. On the third day, I get my admin comes in and says, you need to call your wife. I go, right in the middle of this meeting. She goes, no, I think you better take this call. So I answered the call, and my wife says, you better get to the hospital. The kid's on the way. I go, oh, shit. So on the third day of inorganic data review, I left after my daughter was born, and so I take no responsibility for the inorganics. I was only there for half the time. So, the problem with that, pick it up with the rest of the group. Anyway, so that's it. We did our best as we could back in the old days, and I'm sorry, I apologize for a lot of it, but overall it's actually not too bad in the long run. We did finally manage to get the MDL thing fixed because they finally signed off on that, and so I can raise my head now and people will stop throwing things at me when I got home. And I think that's it. That was all I got. Thank you all for coming, by the way. Listen, and you can spread the word, so if I do die, everybody's going to know about this crap. Thank you.